Starting out in DayZ can sometimes be quite daunting. You spawn in on the coast, but where do you go from there? Hopefully this video will give you a good idea on how to move through the map and get better loot, and experience the progression that DayZ has to offer. And if you find the guide helpful, maybe leave some suggestions down below for what I should do next. For this route, I'm starting off in Cherno, as this is quite a common spawn. If you are a new player, I would recommend having the Eyes of Ive map up on a different screen or even on your phone, as this will be the most helpful tool if you need to find something or somewhere specific. For example, as soon as you spawn, you can use this to help you find the nearest water pump. Here you will want to fill up on water and then follow the road going west, maybe checking a couple houses on the way for any food or basic supplies. Don't be too stressed out if you don't find any, as there are plenty of smaller towns along the route which are less likely to be fully looted. As you are leaving Cherno, you will also be going past Balota Airfield, which is a small airfield with low tier military loot. It's a bit risky to go here, however if you do choose to loot here, you may end up leaving with some nice military clothing, ammo or even a gun. If you want to play a bit safer, you could skip here and head further west along the coast. This will get you to some smaller towns, which will hopefully have the supplies and maybe a civilian weapon to help you later on. The first of the small towns that you will get to is Balota. Whilst you're here, I would say just keep an eye out for police cars, which is a dynamic spawn in DayZ. These can spawn good items such as stab vests, shotguns and maybe some ammo, and it's worth knowing to always keep an eye out for these until a point where you've got better loot than what can spawn at them. As you continue further along the coast, you will get to the second town, which is Komarovo. Here there's actually a police station as well, which is worth checking for the same loot that you would get at a police car. You should also keep an eye out for the police zombies, as they can also spawn stab vests. Other zombies that you kill as well can also spawn items that will be useful, so it's worth killing them if they've got a bag that you like, or maybe even if you're struggling to find food. Once you finish looting around this town, you'll want to continue following along the coast. You'll have an option to go over to the prison island, which can spawn some good loot, however it will be quite time consuming. Although it's a nice place to go if you haven't been there before. Now the main target for this loot route is going to be the dynamic spawns for military trains, as these have the highest chance of spawning so much military loot that you won't even know what to do with. There are 4 potential spawns for these military trains, however it is quite unlikely to find one as only 3 trains in total can be spawned across the map at one time. The first military train spawn is just past the town of Kamenka, which is the first town you'll get to after passing the prison island. Now you can check whether this is here, and then you need to cut back across into the woods and follow this power line up to Pavlovo. It's here that I would recommend grabbing as much food as you can and filling up your water once again, as you will probably not be stopping at another town for a little while. Whilst you're here, it is also worth checking out the hunting store, which looks like this, as there is a good chance to spawn knives, hunting clothing and even some guns such as the CR527 and the Blaze. Once you've stocked up, you will be following the same power line once again until you're getting close to Chernogorsk. Now this town gets very busy, and it's probably not worth going here as it will be very risky. However, if you're feeling it, then give it a go. Once the power line gets close to this railroad track, you're going to want to follow the riverbed to the left. This is indicated by all the large rocks along it, and you'll need to follow this for quite a while. Along the route, you will also find a hunting stand which looks like this, and it will have the potential to spawn the same things as the hunting store. And once you've checked that, you'll want to carry on along the riverbed until you get to this bridge. On the track to the left of this bridge is another potential train spawn, however it's an industrial one, which will give you building supplies if you're looking to do that. But we'll save that for another time. Once you've checked this, you'll just need to carry on along the riverbed, although the rocks will stop, so you just need to follow this dip in the land. And this will eventually get you to this small stone structure which looks like a little dam. And then you'll go past that and carry on down where you will see the river. Here you're going to want to follow the river up right, and once you follow it up further enough, it will open up into a bigger water source and you will see this large dam. On the left side of the little lake, there is a ramp that will take you up to the top of the dam. Here you're going to want to go up and then follow the tree line on the left, as this will take you to look over a large summer camp. It's definitely worth scouting this out first, as there's often players here. However, it's definitely worth checking, because the loot is just worth the risk. Here there is potential to find Mosins, Winchesters, CR527s, hunting scopes, you name it, all the hunting supplies you would ever need. Another thing to consider whilst running along this route are heli crashes. These spawn every 35 minutes and only 3 are spawned at one time. You can hear them from 2,000 meters away and see them from 1,000 meters away, so if you hear one, I'd say it's probably worth going to, as there is some of the best loot in the game that will spawn at these. It is just worth noting to be careful of the zombies and to watch out for players that are looking over the heli crash. And once you've looted up, I would recommend now crossing over the river, because just a bit further over the river is a railroad, and slightly right from where you will probably finish looting is a railroad bridge, and this is the second of the military train spawns. If it's spawned there, then it's definitely worth checking for loot, and if not, just go back to the river and follow it up the map, as this will take you right next to Mishkino tents. Now this can also be quite risky to loot, so it is completely up to you. However, it can potentially contain some of the best loot on this route so far. Whilst you're here though, you must be very careful for all of the zombies, as you can sometimes easily get overwhelmed here. As well as this, you will also want to keep an eye up on the hill, as it is quite easy for people to look over the tents and maybe snipe you. Once you have looted, or decided not to loot, you will want to go down the hill to the river, and go right up the map. You will keep going up along this river, until it goes underneath a railroad bridge. On top of this bridge is our next military train spawn. Once you've either checked for the spawn or looted the train, you'll want to go left perpendicular to the track until you meet this path. You'll then go right. You'll need to make sure that you don't take any lefts or rights, and carry on until you cross over the railroad and meet a main road. Now on your right will be Western evac, which can also be quite risky yet again. However, not many people do come this way all the time, so it might be quite nice to loot it. All I would say is be careful for snipers on the hill up to the left, and just be in and out very quickly. Once you're done looting here, if you feel like you're still lacking some loot, just like snipers and hunting gear, you can go over to Lopatino Castle, which will be down the hill and to the left. But if you're already stocked up on snipers and hunting gear, then it's probably worth going up to Tissy, as now it's probably time to start trying to get that high tier loot and get some NBC gear to try and go into the gas zones. Now probably the easiest way of getting there will be to follow the railroad, as this is also going to take you past the final train spawn. The final military train spawn is just before the Novaya train station. Once you've checked for this train spawn, you want to head carefully through Topolniki, which is the town on the left as you're looking into Novaya. You'll want to head along the road and take this road up to the right, and then you'll want to follow straight along this path even though it ends, and this will take you straight up to Tissy. Within the military base, there are quite a few different sections that you will want to loot. You'll be looking out mainly for NBC gear, as without this you won't be able to progress further and get in the gas zones, where some of the best loot is. Whilst you're here, you will want to be very careful for players and zombies, as there are a lot of zombies and a high chance of finding players here. From now though, you will be looking for NBC, and if you don't know what the full suit is made out of, here it is. You need the NBC boots, the NBC pants, the NBC top, NBC gloves, an NBC hood, and then a gas mask with a filter for it. There are also other gas masks which don't need a filter, and you can now also craft a gas mask filter using a bottle and duct tape. Once you've found all the NBC, or you're just satisfied with all of your loot, it'll probably be time to start working your way back south, as you'll be now trying to aim to get into one of the gas zones on the map. These are located at Rifi and Pavlovo military base. So from Tissy, you will want to head down towards the northwest airfield. Here you will be able to check the Bash military at the north of the airfield, the tents if you want to take a bit of a risk, and then either construction or south compound. I would recommend going to construction if you want to head towards Rifi, as it's on the same route, or going to south compound if you want to go to Pavlovo, as that is that direction. For this time, I'm going to be going to Pavlovo, so I'll head to south compound and loot around for some NBC gear. From there, I will want to be heading towards VMC. To get to VMC, you will leave south compound through the gate and then get to the creek, and you'll follow this all the way down to the edge of VMC wall. If you haven't found all the NBC gear yet, it's probably worth opening up I Survive and locating the nearest medical buildings, as these can also spawn the gear. Then from there you'll pretty much be heading straight across to Pavlovo Military. And the gas zones are pretty much the final stage of looting in DayZ. So if you manage to go the whole route and find no guns, then you must be the unluckiest player going. If you've watched all the way up to here, hopefully you found the guide helpful, and maybe consider subscribing or dropping it a like, as it will help me out a lot. And I'll see you in the next one.